Let's get some analysis now from Malcolm Davis. He is a senior analyst at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, and he joins us live now from Canberra. Thank you so much for being with us on the program, sir. Now, just give us some insight into the concerns that come with this whole process and the kind of weapons the Ukrainians will now have.
Well, look, I think far from concerns, I think this is poetic justice. After all, the Iranians were supplying drones to the Russians that were then using it to attack civilian targets in Ukraine. I think it's only fair that Iranian weapons seized on the high seas are then given to the Ukrainians to fight back against the Russians. So I think these sorts of capabilities are sort of the basic types of material support that the Ukrainians need. Yes, a lot of the media attention is on the long-range strike systems, but at the most basic fundamental level for the infantryman fighting down in the mud, he needs bullets. He needs ammunition to be able to fight and survive. And so these sorts of capabilities that have been seized off the Iranians will be very useful for the Ukrainians, and it's a very good move.
So it will make a difference on the battlefield, especially compared to the pool of weapons that they've already received from the U.S.
I think it will, and I think the key point here is that this war is going to continue. The Russians have no intention whatsoever of seeking peace. They're seeing indicators coming out of Washington, D.C. with the leadership troubles there in Congress and the weakening of support amongst certain elements of the Republican Party for sustaining material support to Ukraine. They're seeing that in context of potential for weakening support in Europe. And so what Moscow's intent is to extend this war to outlast American and European support. And what we have to do in the West is to ensure that Ukraine has the bullets, bombs, and missiles to be able to win this war as quickly as possible. It won't happen this year, but it will certainly go into next year. And it ensures that Ukraine is in a decisively advantageous position at the end of the war so that Russia cannot claim this as a victory.
How long do you think that the U.S. will be able to sustain its support, especially with all the opposition it's been receiving from the Republicans recently?
That's the $64 billion question, in the sense that if this leadership wrangle in Congress in the Republican Party continues for much longer, continues into 2024, we're then into a presidential election year, it does then place uncertainty as to the U.S. ability to sustain that support, because the US only has a limited amount of funds left. And there was a key headline in European papers the other day where basically saying we can see the bottom of the barrel in terms of arms supplies to Ukraine. So there is this growing window of vulnerability. At the same time, everyone is kind of thinking about what happens if Donald Trump gets in to the Oval Office again. So I think that the US, the Europeans have to move as quickly as possible to try and help Ukraine win this war into 2024. Otherwise, the risks will go up. If we get late in 2024, early in 2025, the risks will go up for Ukraine.
What position does this put Iran in? They've repeatedly said they adhere to the arms embargo. How will there be peace in Yemen, for example, if weapons are still being supplied to the warring sides there?
Well, the Iranians are not telling the truth, basically, when they say they adhere to the arms embargo. Essentially, they have been supplying weapons to Russia on large scale in terms of Shahid drones. There's continuing discussion about them supplying Al-Fatah ballistic missiles that would dramatically increase Russia's firepower. So I think that there's every indication the Iranians are violating arms embargoes. I couldn't comment on the situation happening in the Middle East, but certainly in terms of Ukraine, I think what you are seeing is a direct Iranian support for Russia. And of course, the key question in everyone's minds is, will North Korea doing the same thing, and potentially down the track, China?
All right, Malcolm Davis, thank you so much for being with us here on TRT World and sharing that analysis with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.